I found out my brother was sleeping with my wife at our family reunion. I always thought betrayal would feel like an explosion, loud, sudden, violent. But it didn't. When it came for me, it arrived quietly. It slipped into my life like a whisper. At first, I didn't even recognize it for what it was. I didn't know I was already bleeding until I looked down and saw the knife. This is a story of how my world burned down in a weekend. A weekend I thought would bring us closer. A weekend I planned for months. A weekend that ruined my life. My name's Ethan. I'm 34. I work as a systems analyst at a mid-sized firm in Denver. I've been married to my wife, Haley, for 6 years. We met in college. She was this insanely smart psychology major with a quiet laugh and a dry sense of humor that took time to get. I love that about her. She wasn't the kind of person everyone immediately adored. You had to work for it. And when she opened up, it felt like you'd earned something real. I have one sibling, my older brother, Mason. He's 36. Grew up together in Missouri, though I ended up in Colorado after college, and he stayed back in Kansas City. Mason and I were close, not in the tell each other everything kind of way, but in the we've been through hell together kind of way. Our dad left when I was 9, and Mason was 11. Mom worked 2 jobs and leaned hard on Mason to pick up the slack. He did, always did. When he wasn't getting drunk on weekends or sleeping through morning classes, he was raising me in all the ways Dad should have. I owe him more than I can ever explain, which is why what happened hurts so much. It started with an idea Haley had. Actually, you know what would be cool? She said one night in February, curled up beside me on the couch. A family reunion. Somewhere nice. You and Mason haven't really seen each other much since the wedding. She wasn't wrong. Life had gotten in the way. My job was demanding. And so was hers. She's a therapist with her own small practice. Mason had just gotten promoted at his logistics firm. We hadn't seen each other in more than a year. Holidays were always a mess. Either someone was sick or traveling, or we just couldn't line things up. Yeah, I said, actually, that sounds perfect. And it did. We set it for early June. I rented a big cabin in Estes Park, the kind that's overpriced but sleeps 14, with a game room and hot tub and wraparound porch overlooking the mountains. Mom was thrilled. Mason said he'd take the time off. His girlfriend, a woman I'd never met named Brianna, was coming too. Even Haley seemed excited, which was rare for her when it came to my family. She always got along with them fine, but she was reserved, not rude, not cold, just not present. Sometimes I chalked it up to her being introverted. Other times I wondered if I was imagining it. Now I know I wasn't. The first signs. The first night was everything I hoped it'd be. Mason arrived a few hours after us, rolling up in his dusty silver Tacoma with Brianna beside him. She was short, tattooed, and so bubbly it almost felt performative. Mason introduced her with a proud grin, and she hugged Haley and me like we were long-lost friends. I liked her immediately. The cabin buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. We grilled steaks, played poker, told stories. Mason and I fell right back into our rhythm, trash-talking each other like we were 18 again. Haley watched us with a smile that seemed warm enough at the time. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. It was the second night when things shifted. We were playing Cards Against Humanity in the living room. Haley was seated between Mason and me. Brianna had gone to bed early with a headache. Mom was curled up in a recliner, already dozing off. At one point, Haley leaned over to Mason and whispered something. He laughed, a little too loud, a little too unfiltered. She slapped his arm playfully. I don't remember the exact moment I started to feel something was off, but I do remember the chill in my gut, that whisper your instincts give you, so faint you almost ignore it. Almost. Later that night, I walked out to the porch to get some air. I could see my reflection in the window glass. I looked tired, drained. I wasn't sure why. Then I saw a movement behind me. It was Mason and Haley. In the kitchen, they were laughing again. Her hand touched his wrist briefly, just for a second. Nothing inappropriate, nothing you could call proof. But I knew that touch. It wasn't casual. It was careful. The spiral. From that point on, I couldn't unsee it. The little glances, the inside jokes, the way Haley suddenly seemed to run into Mason every time I went to take a shower or grab firewood. I started testing it, taking longer to come downstairs, leaving a room, then walking back in unexpectedly. Once I walked into the den to find them sitting too close on the love seat, looking at something on his phone. They pulled apart like teenagers. Everything okay? I asked. Just showing her a meme, Mason said. You'd love it. I smiled, said nothing, but I knew the seed of doubt was no longer a seed. It was a vine crawling up my throat. I didn't sleep that night. Haley curled up beside me in bed, like always. I laid there, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling fan as it turned, counting the rotations, imagining scenarios, asking myself over and over again, could she really? Would he really? The breaking point. The next day was a hike, a long one, 7 miles up a ridge, then down the other side to a waterfall. Halfway through, I lagged behind to help Mom with the tricky part of the trail. When we finally caught up to the group, I saw something I'll never forget. Haley and Mason walking ahead of everyone, side by side, laughing, and then she leaned into him, just slightly. He didn't pull away. That's when it happened. The moment something inside me fractured. When we got back to the cabin, I pulled Brianna aside. My voice was shaking. Hey, can I ask you something weird? She blinked. Okay. Have you noticed anything weird between Mason and Haley? There was a long silence. Her eyes narrowed. I didn't want to say anything, she said slowly. But yeah, I thought I was being paranoid. I felt my stomach drop. She continued. He was weird last night. He didn't come to bed until after 3. Said he fell asleep on the couch. But the couch was made when I got up. I figured he went outside to smoke, but now, I don't know. I felt like I was going to throw up. We made a plan. A stupid, desperate plan. That night, I said I was going to sleep early. So did Brianna. Instead, I waited, sat in the dark guest room with the door cracked, phone in hand, recording, listening. At 2:14 a.m., I heard footsteps. The floor creaked in the hallway. I peeked through the crack. It was Haley, walking barefoot, toward the room Mason was staying in. She knocked softly. The door opened. She slipped inside. I couldn't breathe. I waited 10 minutes, just to be sure. Then I walked down the hallway, stood outside the door, and I heard it. Her voice. His voice. Soft, muffled. Then the unmistakable rhythm of betrayal. I didn't open the door. I didn't need to. It's funny how betrayal doesn't just break you. It untethers you. For the rest of that night, I sat on the back deck of the cabin in total silence, the cold mountain air cutting through my hoodie like I wasn't even wearing it. I wasn't crying. I wasn't screaming. I was just gone, dissociated, like I was watching my life from the outside. I half expected to wake up. A dream, a nightmare, anything but this. But the hours passed. The sun began to rise, and I was still there, still hollow. Brianna joined me around 5 a.m. She didn't say anything for a long time, just sat beside me, wrapped in a blanket, her knees pulled to her chest. Finally, she asked, "What are you going to do?" "I don't know," I said. "Confront them, I guess. I have to." She nodded slowly. "Want me there?" I shook my head. "No, I need to do this myself." We waited for them to wake up, and I watched them like a hunter. At 9:12 a.m., they emerged, Mason first, looking like he hadn't slept at all, eyes bloodshot and face tight. Haley came out 10 minutes later. Her hair was still damp from a quick shower. She avoided eye contact with everyone. I wonder now if she knew I knew. I waited until after breakfast. I wanted the whole family to be out on the porch, distracted. I needed to do this without an audience. Not yet. I found Mason in the den, thumbing through his phone like nothing had happened. "Got a minute?" I asked. He looked up surprised but smiled. "Yeah. What's up?" I led him to the downstairs laundry room. The one place in the cabin where sound didn't travel. Then I shut the door, and I told him. I know, I said, just like that. No build-up, no warning. I know you slept with her. He blinked. What? Haley, last night, I saw her go into your room. I heard you. He went pale. The cocky smirk drained from his face. Ethan, look, it's not what you think. Don't lie to me. He swallowed. Hard. I didn't plan for it to happen. It did. It was a mistake. We were drinking, and we've been talking a lot lately, and I held up a hand. I'm going to stop you right there. I don't want your excuses. I don't want your story. I want the truth. He looked away, shame written all over him. How long? I asked. Silence. Mason, how long? His voice was barely audible. 3 months. I felt like someone had kicked me in the chest. 3 months. Not a drunken mistake. Not a one-time slip. This was planned. Repeated. Covered up. Jesus Christ. I whispered, my own brother. I didn't mean to fall for her, he said, almost pleading. We connected. You two haven't been doing well, right? She said you'd grown distant. She said, I snapped. You based this on what she said? And instead of talking to me, your brother, you just decided it was fine to have **** my wife. He didn't respond. Get your shit. Leave. Now. What? Ethan, come on, man, don't. Now. He stared at me for a second, like he was deciding whether to argue. Then he nodded. Fine. Haley's turn. Haley was sitting on the couch, legs curled under her, flipping through her phone. I walked straight up to her and said, we need to talk. Now. Her eyes darted up. I think she already knew what was coming. I led her to the same room, same door, same silence. You want to tell me anything? I asked. She didn't say anything at first, just looked at the floor. Haley, I'm sorry, she whispered. That was it. No denial, no deflection. 3 months, I said. That's how long it's been. She nodded. Why? Her eyes welled up. Because I was lonely. Because we stopped talking. Because you were always working or tired or distracted. I laughed bitterly. That's your justification? So instead of counseling or conversation, you go to my brother? I didn't plan it, she said. It just happened. It kept happening. I know. And you came here, to this reunion, to my family's cabin, knowing you were going to sleep with him again? She didn't answer. I took a deep breath. My hand was shaking. I want a divorce, I said. Her eyes widened. Ethan! No, don't. Don't say anything. Just pack your things. You'll hear from my lawyer. The fallout. Mason left within the hour. Brianna dumped him on the spot. She didn't yell, didn't cry, just handed him his duffel bag, said, you disgust me, and walked away. Haley tried to linger, kept following me from room to room, saying things like, I never stopped loving you. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was confused. I still want us to work. I ignored her, didn't raise my voice, didn't explode, just told her to leave. Eventually, Mom noticed the tension, pulled me aside on the 3rd day, and asked what was going on. I told her. She looked like she'd been slapped. Mason? Your brother? Yeah. She sat down, covered her mouth. Oh my God. I don't want to talk about it, I said. She nodded. Her eyes were misty. I'm so sorry, baby. The drive back was surreal. Haley was gone by then, took an Uber to the airport. Mason flew out of Denver the night before. The silence in the car was both a relief and a curse. When I got home, I stood in my living room and looked around like I was in someone else's house. Her coffee mug still on the table, her jacket on the hook, photos of us smiling on the walls. I didn't pack her things. I didn't touch anything. I just sat down and stared at nothing. For hours. Aftermath. The divorce was messy. She didn't fight me much. I think the guilt weighed heavier on her than she expected. I got the house. She moved into a condo 2 miles away. We don't speak anymore. Mason? He sent me one email. A pathetic apology. I didn't reply. My mom doesn't talk to him either. Neither does the rest of the family. He's basically been exiled. I didn't ask them to do that. They made that choice on their own. I started therapy 2 weeks after coming home. Best decision I've made. I'm still a wreck some days, but I'm standing. Brianna and I have gotten close, weirdly enough. Trauma bonds, I guess. We grab coffee sometimes. She always jokes that we should sue Haley and Mason for emotional damages and split the settlement. Final thoughts for now. I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts. Never thought I'd be the person this happened to. But here I am. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I just needed to get it out, to put the truth somewhere outside my head. If you're reading this and you've been betrayed by family, by a partner, by someone you trusted, just know you're not crazy. Your gut is probably right. You're not overreacting. You're not weak. And you're not alone. Some betrayals are loud, explosive, immediate. Mine came like on the beams of a house I thought was solid, silent, spreading. And by the time I noticed, the whole structure had collapsed around me. The walls, the roof, the floor I was standing on. What they don't tell you about betrayal is that it doesn't just hurt, it rewrites you. You stop trusting your eyes. You stop trusting your memory. And worst of all, you stop trusting yourself. In the weeks following the divorce, silence became a new kind of enemy. I never realized how much sound Haley brought into our home. The hum of her working at her laptop, her Spotify playlist echoing from the kitchen, the sound of her cursing at clients over bad insurance policies, even the annoying clack of her nail file during Netflix marathons. All of it was gone. I used to crave silence after long days in the office. Now it felt like a punishment, like walking through a museum of my own failure. I left her side of the closet empty, not out of sentiment, but because I couldn't bring myself to look at the space filled again. I started sleeping on the left side of the bed, hers, like somehow it would override the memories of her curling into me, whispering I love you, while she was probably thinking of my brother.